7 years of love and one headline that refused to fade. When Hong Kong's golden age heartthrob Ekin Cheng and singer-actress Jigi Lung ended their long relationship in 2006, the city's tabloids erupted with a single, devastating question. Had love turned into betrayal? The truth, as always, was far more complicated. In the mid-1990s, Ekin was no ordinary celebrity. He was the face of Hong Kong's youth rebellion, the fifth heavenly king who carried a generation's dreams through the explosive, young, and dangerous films. His calm smile, his long hair, his quiet magnetism, every part of him became a cultural icon. But fame in Hong Kong was never gentle. For years, cameras trailed behind him, dissecting every gesture, every friendship, every whisper. When the 7-year mark of his relationship with Jigi Lung passed, gossip pages framed their breakup not as time's natural drift, but as proof of a curse, a secret, or a betrayal that someone refused to admit. Soon, the narrative spun out of their control. Yet beneath the rumors, there was another story, a quieter one about exhaustion, fame's cost, and two people learning how to let go without hate. Tonight, we uncover what really happened behind those years of love, silence, and speculation, and how Ekin Cheng turned from the king of chaos to the man who chose peace. Long before the headlines and the heartbreak, Ekin Cheng was just a shy boy from a modest apartment in Hong Kong. Born in 1967, he grew up watching his parents struggle to make ends meet, while holding on to the simple joys of family. His father worked at a garment factory, his mother juggled housework and 3 children, and their tiny flat was filled with the smell of home-cooked meals and laughter. There was no spotlight, no hint of fame, just the hum of sewing machines and the rhythm of ordinary life. Yet even then, something about him stood out. As a child, he admired heroes like Batman, fascinated by the idea of quiet strength. That fascination would later define his entire career. A man who rarely shouted, but whose silence carried weight. Fate came disguised as chance in 1984, when a talent scout spotted him on the street and offered him a small commercial job. The ad, a simple lemon tea campaign, became unexpectedly popular. The public loved his natural smile and calm presence. Without realizing it, Ekin had stepped onto the stage that would one day consume his life. A few years later, he joined TVB's artist training program, where he struggled at first. Unlike the flamboyant personalities around him, he was quiet, almost withdrawn. He failed his first exam and quit, taking a boring office job instead. But something in him refused to give up. When TVB reopened its auditions, he returned, this time with a determination forged from failure. He passed, joined the company, and slowly began carving his place in a fiercely competitive industry. His early years at TVB were humble, hosting the children's show 4:30 Space Shuttle rather than starring in glamorous dramas. Yet, the show became a surprising launchpad for future icons like Stephen Chow and Tony Leung. For Ekin, it was both a blessing and a test of patience. For 3 years, he went to work quietly, reading comic books during breaks, and dreaming of the day he'd get his big break. Then, in 1990, destiny came calling again. Director Lee Gay spotted him and cast him in a small film, asking him to play a gay villain, a role far outside his comfort zone. Ekin nearly quit, but a stunt double, seeing his hesitation, told him, "You can't act like someone else. Just be yourself. If you fail, fail as you." That advice changed him forever. From that moment, he stopped trying to perform and started simply being. Then, in 1996, his world exploded. Director Andrew Lau cast him in Young and Dangerous as Chan Ho Nam, a gangster torn between the loyalty and freedom. No one expected it to become a cultural phenomenon. But when the film hit theaters, audiences saw something they hadn't seen before, a gangster who was calm, loyal, and strangely gentle. Ekin's long hair, his stoic expression, his quiet charisma. He was the perfect anti-hero for a generation caught between rebellion and conformity. Overnight, he became a household name, a symbol of Hong Kong's cinematic golden age. Magazines called him the Fifth Heavenly King, placing him beside Andy Lau, Jackie Chung, Aaron Kwok, and Leon Lai. But behind the fame was a quiet unease. Ekin had never sought the spotlight. It had found him wrapped in noise, expectation, and danger. The young man who once feared failing at TVB was now leading an empire of fans. Yet, even as the lights grew brighter, he began to wonder, what happens when fame no longer feels like freedom? The success of Young and Dangerous was unlike anything Hong Kong had seen before. It wasn't just a film, it became a movement. Teenagers copied the hairstyles, the tattoos, the leather jackets. They quoted lines from the movie in back alleys, treating Ekin Cheng's character, Chen Ho Nam, like a real-life hero. But as the craze spread, so did the criticism. Newspapers accused the series of glorifying gang violence. Schools reported rising fights among students who idolized the Triad Brotherhood. Even police officials began to worry about the movie's influence on youth culture. Ekin found himself trapped in a paradox. The role that made him famous was now being blamed for corrupting an entire generation. At first, he brushed it off. Fame came with judgment. He knew that. But one night, during a shoot in mainland China, a local teacher knocked on his hotel door and handed him a handwritten note. It read, "Please stop filming. You're ruining our children." That moment hit him harder than any review ever could. He kept the note for years, a quiet reminder of how powerful images could be, and how dangerous they could become when misunderstood. Ekin began questioning the meaning of his fame. Was he inspiring people or misleading them? Director Andrew Lau saw the weight on his shoulders and made a decision that would reshape the Young and Dangerous franchise. In later sequels, he toned down the violence, gave moral consequences to each act, and showed the painful cost of loyalty. Characters began dying one by one, their endings heavy with regret rather than glory. Ekin supported the change wholeheartedly. He knew the story had to evolve, that the same power that once electrified audiences could also teach them. Behind the scenes, he became known for his quiet professionalism and empathy for the crew. When exhaustion set in, he never complained. When extras were treated harshly, he intervened. Fame hadn't spoiled him, it had humbled him. Yet the industry around him was unforgiving. While peers like Andy Lau and Tony Leung pushed their acting boundaries, Ekin remained loyal to his calm, introspective style. Critics began to call him one-dimensional, accusing him of hiding behind his looks. Wang Jing, the director who had once promised to make him famous, even admitted in the later interviews that Ekin was talented, but lacked ambition. He could have been the next Chow Yun-fat, Wang said, but he preferred simplicity. To some, it sounded like disappointment. To Ekin, it was peace. He wasn't chasing awards or headlines. Between projects, he spent his days reading comic books, scuba diving, and playing video games. Jordan Chan, his longtime friend and co-star, once joked that Ekin was the only star who'd rather level up his game character than his career. But Ekin didn't mind. For him, life had to be more than film sets and flashing cameras. The entertainment world demanded constant reinvention. He chose authenticity instead. Still, that choice came with a price. While others thrived in endless publicity, Ekin slowly drifted from the front pages. His face remained iconic, but the frenzy began to fade. Reporters who once followed his every move now focused on fresher names. Yet that retreat from fame didn't mean failure. It was a deliberate pause. After a decade of non-stop chaos, he needed silence to find balance again. But just as the noise around his career began to settle, another storm was quietly building. One that had nothing to do with movies and everything to do with love. Long before the name Gigi Leung appeared beside his in glossy magazines, Ekin Cheng had already lived through one of Hong Kong's most talked about relationships. His first great love was actress Maggie Hsu, a woman known for her quiet strength and subtle grace. They met while both were struggling to rise through the ranks of TVB, two young dreamers sharing late-night shoots, instant noodles, and the same longing for stability in a ruthless industry. Their connection was tender but fragile, constantly tested by fame's unpredictable rhythm. Maggie wanted a settled life, a home, something certain. Ekin, still chasing his identity in a career that consumed him, wasn't ready to slow down. He once told an interviewer, "There were still too many things I wanted to accomplish. Marriage felt like something I hadn't earned yet." When their 7-year relationship finally ended, it was quiet. No dramatic statements, no bitterness. But the media refused to let it rest. They turned it into the first chapter of what would later be called the 7-year curse. Not long after, in the late 1990s, Ekin crossed paths with Gigi Leung. She was everything his public image wasn't: bright, outspoken, and effortlessly radiant. At the time, she was one of the most promising young singers in Hong Kong, known for her wide smile and gentle voice. Together, they seemed perfectly balanced. The calm and the storm, the grounded and the dreamer. Their chemistry was undeniable. When they appeared side by side at events, cameras flashed non-stop. Tabloids wrote headlines like "Heavenly King meets Angel of Pop," and fans began to see them as the city's golden couple. For years, they kept their relationship discreet, but never entirely hidden. They were photographed walking hand in hand through Central, eating in small cafes, sometimes traveling together. And though they rarely spoke publicly about each other, their silence only fueled curiosity. By 2004, rumors began to circulate that cracks were forming. Different papers printed different stories. Some claimed Gigi wanted marriage, others said Ekin still wasn't ready. One gossip column went further, implying that Ekin had grown emotionally distant, that fame had hardened him. None of it was confirmed. Still, the press was relentless. The true turning point came in early 2006. Photos began surfacing of Ekin appearing alone at social events, while Gigi attended others without him. Within weeks, tabloids declared their breakup official. But that wasn't enough. They needed a villain. The narrative that dominated headlines suggested betrayal, a third party. Whispers that Ekin had fallen for someone new. The name of that someone, they said, was actress Yoyo Mung. Overnight, the 7-year curse became a full-blown scandal. Yet behind the noise, those close to them told a different story. According to friends, there was no dramatic betrayal, only exhaustion. Both had grown in different directions. Gigi's career was thriving. She was releasing albums, starring in films, and building her own brand. Ekin, meanwhile, had shifted inward, seeking a quieter life. Their worlds no longer aligned. As one friend later put it, they still cared for each other. They just wanted different things, but the tabloids didn't care about mutual understanding. They wanted heartbreak, not maturity. In reality, Ekin's relationship with Yoyo didn't begin until after his split with Gigi, though gossip magazines twisted the timeline to make it look otherwise. The media loved the symmetry of it all. 7 years with Maggie, 7 with Gigi, both ending near the same mark. The 7-year curse was an irresistible myth, the kind of pattern that sells papers and cements superstition. Each headline seemed to ask, was it fate or flaw? Ekin never publicly defended himself. He simply disappeared from interviews, choosing silence over denial. Gigi, too, remained dignified, refusing to speak ill of him. Years later, she would describe their relationship as beautiful while it lasted, and say that every chapter of her life taught her something. It was a statement filled with grace, but few noticed, because kindness rarely makes the front page. Looking back, what truly hurt wasn't the breakup. It was how the story was told. Two adults choosing to part ways became a media circus about betrayal and failure. The public forgot that real love doesn't always end in war. Sometimes it simply fades. But for Ekin Cheng, the lesson was unforgettable. He had lived through 2 7-year stories, both beginning in hope and ending under headlines. And whether he believed in the curse or not, one thing was certain: it had changed the way he saw love forever. When the dust of scandal finally began to settle, Ekin Cheng's name reappeared. this time beside actress Yoyo Mung. The tabloids that once accused him of betrayal now followed him with a different tone: curiosity. Who was this woman who had quietly entered his life just when the media expected him to crumble? Yoyo was not like his past loves, nor like the women the press imagined for him. She was confident, outspoken, and fiercely independent, a contrast to Ekin's reserved, introspective nature. They met by chance during a friendly badminton game in 2005. There were no flashing lights, no stage, just two people laughing over missed shots. That casual encounter turned into conversations. Those conversations turned into dinners, and before either of them realized, something unspoken had begun to grow. But their relationship started under a cloud of scrutiny. Because of the timing, many refused to believe it was innocent. He left Gigi for Yoyo, one headline declared, while another printed the words, "betrayal disguised as love." Neither of them responded. Ekin, who had learned the hard way that denial only feeds gossip, simply stayed silent. Yoyo, equally calm, once told a reporter, "We don't need to explain love to outsiders." It was the beginning of a partnership built not on publicity, but on defiance against it. By 2006, they began appearing together in public, walking hand in hand at events. The media swarmed them with questions. Did they overlap? Was marriage next? Ekin smiled, said nothing, and guided Yoyo through the crowd. To those who expected another dramatic romance, their quiet unity was almost confusing. In the years that followed, they kept a low profile, rarely giving interviews and never sharing intimate details. It wasn't indifference, it was protection. Then, in 2013, after nearly 8 years together, they surprised everyone again. Without prior announcements or publicity, the couple married in Tokyo. There were no reporters, no designer gowns, no luxury banquet. Just a small private ceremony attended by a few close friends. Later, a friend revealed what pushed them to make it official. A loved one had told Ekin, "If something happens to you, she won't even be allowed to sign your hospital papers." That simple truth moved him more than any vow could. For a man who had spent his life avoiding labels, that was the moment he realized that commitment isn't a cage, it's care. After marriage, Ekin and Yoyo chose to step completely away from the spotlight. They moved to Japan, living quietly in the suburbs of Tokyo. Gone were the days of red carpets and camera flashes. Their life now revolved around small joys. Cooking breakfast together, scuba diving in Okinawa, skiing in Hokkaido, or walking through Kyoto's narrow alleys unnoticed. Occasionally, fans would recognize them, surprised to see the once famous couple blending so seamlessly into ordinary life. Ekin's hair had turned gray, his clothes simple, his expression softer. Yet in every photo, the same calm smile remained, the one that once captured millions. In 2024, a photo went viral on social media. It showed Ekin sitting on a Tokyo sidewalk, wearing faded jeans and a worn-out t-shirt, eating noodles from a street stall. His face was fuller, lined by time, but the tranquility in his eyes spoke volumes. Some fans said they felt sad to see their idol so changed. Others saw something beautiful, a man finally free. Of course, peace never lasts long under the gaze of the media. Not long after the photo spread, tabloids began circulating rumors that Yoyo had developed a gambling habit in Japan's casinos. The story spread quickly, but lacked evidence. Neither Ekin nor Yoyo commented. Instead, a few weeks later, photographers caught them walking hand in hand through a quiet Tokyo street, smiling softly at each other. That image silenced everything. In a world obsessed with drama, their quiet love was the loudest answer. For Ekin, this final chapter wasn't about redemption, it was about release. After decades of noise, the man once called the fifth heavenly king had found peace not on a stage, but in simplicity. His story with Yoyo wasn't the scandal everyone expected. It was proof that love, when real, doesn't need witnesses. For nearly 3 decades, the name Ekin Cheng has lived in 2 worlds. the myth, and the man. In the public's memory, he's the stoic hero from Young and Dangerous, the calm face of a generation that equated silence with strength. To tabloids, he's the 7-year curse, a man doomed to repeat heartbreak every time the calendar turned. But in reality, neither image was ever true. He wasn't a gangster idol, and he wasn't cursed. He was simply human, someone trying to protect what little privacy fame hadn't already stolen. Yet, the line between perception and truth in Hong Kong's celebrity culture has always been dangerously thin. When Ekin and Gigi's breakup first made headlines, the story was written like a movie script. Editors didn't want context or complexity. They wanted betrayal. Love stories, they knew, don't sell. Breakups do. To them, Gigi was the heartbroken victim. Ekin, the cold, silent man who moved on too soon. But if you look closely at the timeline, there's no verified evidence that he ever cheated. No official statement from either side ever suggested disloyalty. It was pure narrative engineering, a pattern that Hong Kong tabloids had perfected for decades. They took coincidence, added speculation, and built myths out of maybes. And the myth worked. For years, people believed Ekin was emotionally detached, a man who walked away when things got difficult. But the truth was the opposite. He stayed longer than most people would. He endured 7-year stretches not out of habit, but because he wanted to make things last. Both Maggie and Gigi spoke of him with respect, never anger. In a business where bitterness fuels careers, that silence spoke louder than any quote could. It wasn't a curse. It was maturity misunderstood as mystery. When Yoyo entered his life, the myth shifted again. Suddenly, the media turned the love story into a redemption arc. The player who finally settled down. But even that label missed the point. Ekin didn't marry Yoyo to fix a reputation. He married her because she represented what he'd been chasing all along: peace. Fame had taught him that applause fades, headlines twist, and fans forget. But love, built on trust, endures. In Japan, away from the gossip machines of Hong Kong, he finally got to live as himself. Neighbors saw him not as a celebrity, but as the quiet man who walked his dog at sunset. His retreat from fame wasn't failure, it was survival. The entertainment industry that once worshipped him was now unrecognizable. A new generation of stars, viral trends, and disposable fame. But Ekin had already learned that endless relevance is a trap. He no longer needed the title of Heavenly King. He wanted something far rarer: normalcy. His wealth, estimated at nearly $100 million, came mostly from smart real estate investments, not the silver screen. While others chased roles, he chased balance. That, in many ways, became his quiet rebellion against the very system that built him. Still, whenever his name resurfaces, the same rumors echo back. Did he cheat? Did he gamble? Did he fall? It's as if the world cannot accept that a man once idolized by millions could simply choose to live quietly. But that's the paradox of celebrity. People admire you for shining, then resent you when you dim the light. Ekin's life reminds us that walking away isn't weakness. It's wisdom. He didn't disappear because he lost. He stepped back because he'd already won. And yet, the myth will always follow him. Somewhere out there, a new headline will recycle the same story. The betrayal that broke Gigi, the king who quit too soon. But for those who've truly followed his journey, the ending is clear. Ekin Cheng was never the villain of someone else's story. He was a man who learned after years of chaos that real strength lies not in conquering the world, but in choosing when to stop fighting it. In the end, every version of Ekin Cheng's story, the movie star, the lover, the myth, comes down to one simple truth. He knew when to stop. He walked away from fame before it consumed him, from fights that weren't worth winning, and from stories that no longer belonged to him. That choice, in a world obsessed with noise, was an act of quiet courage. It's easy to stay in the spotlight. It's harder to know when the light has burned too bright. His journey, from a boy in a small Hong Kong apartment to the fifth heavenly king, and finally, to a man living peacefully in Japan, reveals something rare in the entertainment world: contentment. The same industry that builds idols often destroys them. Yet Ekin survived by breaking its rules. He refused to perform for tabloids, to defend what didn't need defending, or to let gossip define him. And in doing so, he became something far greater than a celebrity. He became a reminder that happiness isn't found in applause. It's found in peace. For fans who still wonder what happened between him and Gigi Lung, between him and Yoyo Mung, the truth may never be as dramatic as the headlines. Love, like fame, fades quietly. What matters is not how it ended, but how he carried himself when the world turned away. So perhaps the real story of Ekin Cheng isn't about betrayal or glory. It's about balance. The man once called the fifth heavenly king didn't lose his throne. He simply stepped down, smiled, and chose to live on his own terms. Because in the end, the only crown worth keeping is peace of mind.